State of Mind Podcast, hosted by Josh Keeley and Chris Rowe. All right, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming back at Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. If there's one person out here on the West Coast watching with me, I highly doubt it. As always, I'm Chris, and gracing us with his appearance here, my co-host, Josh Keeley. Round of applause. Josh, how have you been? Oh, I don't know if you know this, but the streaming platform we have now, we've got a plethora of sound bites. We've also got drum roll and bongos. We've got, I'm certain to be one of your favorites, a gong.
Love that. I love the fucking gong. You nailed that.
Okay. Yep. We've got that, and of course, when you just say something that's just outlandish.
I love that too. We also need to like Colby. I'm sure I sent you the link to that girl that was like, I don't need to justify it or
the college football rankings. Yeah.
He's clipped it, but it's like too long. It's like the whole clip. We need to clip it where she goes, I don't need to like give you my justification for like whenever, like, you know how I'm explaining some things and like there's an audible like pause where I can't finish my thought because it's not a great thought, and you can just boop press that button.
We'd start just wearing that the fuck out, right? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Dude. Well, I feel like because I was thinking about Deshaun Foster getting fired.
Before you finish, let's get one out. Get one in for Deshaun.
Sure, you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA.
He is in LA no longer, my friend.
Yeah. You want to dive into it? I think it's big news.
I think it's big news for the state of the program itself. Absolutely.
Okay, so what are your thoughts? What are you? I guess my first question is: are you upset about it?
I think it was too early. I think that it's you wouldn't have seen this years before with this the age of the NIL, because everybody wants to win now. Everybody wants to be successful now. Everybody wants to make their money hand over fist now. I don't think you would have seen this move 5-6 years ago, but you've got a quarterback with Nico Iamaleava who is hot and cold every other day. You don't know what kind of, it appears from the outside, it's, hey, what kind of Nico Iamaleava is coming to practice today? And it seems like a laundry list of things that follow with it, man. Okay.
Yeah, that's interesting hearing you say that, because you're in the minority like me. I kind of thought that we were going to have a little bit of a battle here. But I think that that's cool that we both kind of see it the same way. And I think that says a lot about, our podcast and how we evaluate things. We're not we don't jump at the gun and shit like that. Right. No. When he was originally hired, you and I had a discussion, and I was very much like, that's a bad hire. That's going to end up badly. He's not ready for this big job. He was a positional coach, a very young positional coach with not a lot of experience. Agreed. What the hell are they doing? Right.
Absolutely.
So, and a lot of people remember me saying that. So when I was having this discussion with other people, they're like, why do you think that he was fired too soon? Why are you upset about it if you said he sucked? And it's because that's the reason why. It's kind of like Deshaun Kaiser when he got drafted by the Browns, right? Where it's like, well, he sucked. Well, no, you knew he was going to suck, right? It's all about circumstance and situation. When you hire a guy like Deshaun Foster, who went to your university, who's young, and remember too, they hired Deshaun Foster because Chip Kelly left. Yes. The program is in such disarray with the NIL. There's 3 people that go to every goddamn game. Okay?
Yeah, it is bad. Attendance is bad.
It's bad. It's horrible. Everything about that program is horrible. It's a wine and cheese crowd. They don't even want football. It's not Midwestern Big Ten football. And now that they're forced to compete again against Midwestern Big Ten football, it's made it even worse. It's made those issues even worse. And NIL has made it worse too, because you need to be successful in NIL, supporters, and they have none.
Yeah.
Chip Kelly left voluntarily to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. Yeah. So you're filling that position basically with Deshaun Foster, because you're like, okay, we want to get a guy that's not going to leave us because this program is fucked. This is a slow build. Who's going to be in it for the long haul? And you take a risk on a guy like that, and then you cut him off by the knees. That's not right. You can't fire him for doing the thing that you knew he was going to do. Right? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, it's like, it's like getting a puppy and beating the shit out of when they piss on the floor. It's like, that's the thing that the puppies do. You got to fix that.
It's if you went into the Deshaun Foster hiring and not expecting a year or two of growing pains, you're out of your mind. And why'd you even hire him?
3 years, right? Because he's not a good coach. He was immediately overwhelmed from the goddamn get-go with this fucking press conference, right?
Yeah, you're right.
But they built great momentum in the second half of last year's season,
very much,
and they added a shit ton of talent in the transfer portal. Now, you and I talked about it, and I was very low on him. I got my little I got it on every show, my little notebook, my little preseason rankings, right? And I had UCLA going 3-9, 1-8 in the Big Ten this year. They're not even going to do that. Okay, based off of my rankings, that makes them the 16th worst Big Ten team. There's only 18 teams.
There's only 18.
I was not very high on them. The problem with what UCLA did is he added a lot of skill position talent with Nico and Quasi Gilmer and the 2 running backs, Jalen Berger. But there's no beef. There's nothing on the interior. There's just simply nothing there. And I don't know if that's his fault. There's nothing left in the wallet to get those guys. Right? I just feel like the firing angers me because you shouldn't have hired him if you weren't ready for that kind of shit. Right? The puppy example, I feel like I'm not being eloquent with it, but I feel like it's a good example.
I think you nailed it.
Mad at getting a puppy. You can't get mad that your puppy pisses on the floor when you got a puppy. It just feels fucked up. There's a lot of good coaches out there. I don't know if you want to talk about this. I know we're already 8 minutes in. We haven't talked about Ohio State at all. The UCLA job is an important job. This is a very historic program.
I agree.
Aikman went there. Tommy Maddox went there. There's a lot of great history in UCLA football, and this is a great program that the Big Ten has added, and they're fucking garbage. It's just kind of It's sad. It's a shame, and I don't know. There's a couple people I have in my mind that I think can right the ship, but I'd be interested to see what you think. And I'm completely
in the dark on this one. I was the news broke last night. I didn't see it till this morning, and I haven't begun to even fathom a potential. I mean, obviously it's going to be a hire within to get through the season, but I couldn't tell you a long-term solution for the UCLA Bruins.
So there's been some whispers. I know you heard it too, right? Colby's talked about this on his podcast, but shout him out a lot lately, and I don't know why. But good on him. But Jeff Monken has been a name that everybody says is ready for the next level job.
I can see that.
For me, I think that would be an immediate upgrade. I know that a lot of schools have been talking about John Gruden. Every time there's a major college football opening, John Gruden's name pops up. I think that would be a good hire. I know that a lot of people that I talked to were like, that's a horrible hire. NFL coaches to the college level don't work. Look at Bill Belichick. He's already struggling. Look at Herm Edwards. Look at Lovie Smith. These guys all suck. But at UCLA, the problem is that they don't have anybody that supports them. You're going to either have to get a really good coach that can win with nothing, like Jeff Monken, or somebody who's going to have the charisma to bring in cash from the boosters, which is John Gruden. And honestly, I think John Gruden is intelligent enough to understand and identify his weaknesses as a coach. I mean, that's somebody that my dad specifically hates, John Gruden. But I've always been kind of a fan of John Gruden. So I think that'd be a good fit. Brent Brennan, we saw what Brent Brennan did at Arizona this Friday when he toppled Kansas State, which is a big win for him. He did pretty good at San Jose State before taking that Arizona job. He's from the West Coast. I think he played football at UCLA, so that might be a good hire as well. There's a lot of interesting names out there. Obviously he wasn't the only coach that was fired, and he's not going to be the only coach that's fired. Brett Bryant, Virginia Tech was fired. Who cares? Yeah. We don't need to dive into that. That's not the Big Ten, but it's going to be interesting to monitor. I think the transfer portal technically opens for UCLA players now too, right? Like they get 3 days to enter.
Yes.
So that's going to be interesting too. Before we move on to that, are there any? I know you said you didn't really have any time to think about the coaches. I mean, are there any players that you think that this guy's got some I mean, honestly, they're so fucking shitty. I don't.
I'll be honest with you. The only thing I saw really that I saw a couple different places was the potential for Nico Iamaleava to step away from the team and focus on mental health. I wonder if that is just that's Nico himself, that is in fact a mental health issue that he's going through, or it's just it's absolute chaos at UCLA, or it's simply buyer's remorse.
I don't know if it's buyer's remorse because he didn't. I don't know if he had a lot of other options. Nico is a great quarterback. Chris, you and I talk about this every. I've watched every single goddamn snap of UCLA football this year. I won the bet when I bet on Utah. I lost the last 2 weeks with UNLV in New Mexico. But you know what? I do get a little feather in the cap for the Mex because I told you and I told everybody else. Listen, the cool thing about betting on UCLA against New Mexico is that he's probably not going to keep his job. So it's like, if you lose, you at least get the satisfaction knowing it's the ultimate loss, right? They're just really if I'm Nico, he's just been wildly inconsistent. He was horrible against Ohio State. If you go back and watch his tape against the tape, like I'm sitting here fucking diving into Nico tape from last year. If you go back and watch those games, they padded the stats. All of his most impressive games were against a competition like Kent State. He's got some issues. He's great though. I mean, you could see the flashes. I don't understand the Nico hate. I know a lot of people hate him. That's a guy that if Ryan Day gets his hands on it, that's a first round pick. I mean, he's arguably the most talented quarterback in the Big. I mean, you could see he puts the team on his back. If I were him, I don't think I would back off. I think I would just put my nose down and fucking just push through, man. I think the NFL guy, he's gone. He's a cash baby. He's wanting to move on. He's not, this college game ain't for him anyways. He needs someone to, I would just try to prove your toughness and try to just move on is what I think was what I would do. Maybe hopefully if you prove your toughness, maybe they let you have a say at who the next coach is too, right? If you decide to come back next year. I know that Arizona did that with Khalil Tate a few years back. That ended up backfiring because I know that they wanted to hire Paul Johnson, I believe. But he was like, no, I want to run the triple option. I'm a good quarterback. And he ended up getting benched halfway through. I can't remember who that was. Do you remember who that was?
No clue, boss.
That might have been Jed Fish. Jed Fish. They might have hired Jed Fish. I can't remember. But whatever. But they might give him a say. That it's a new era in college football, dude. They're asking these players for some opinions on some pretty heavy topics. So that's probably what I would do.
I could see it. I would hate it, but honestly, in today's day of college football, I wouldn't bat an eye at it.
And it might not be the worst thing. I mean, he's been to multiple. I don't know, man. He is a talent. He is a talent. Maybe he can mature from this and learn from this. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. He is too good for me to make fun of, like a guy like Jaden Rashada. He just is. It would be a shame. I do like Nico. I was nervous about making fun of him last year. We were having the discussion about him transferring to UCLA.
Yeah,
and I think it was you and me and Donovan have the conversation, and you guys were kind of making fun of it. And you guys end up being right. It's a miserable, miserable season. But if you remember, I was like, I don't know if I want to make fun of this yet. In my eyes, he's that good. Once he figures it out, he's going to be insane. But obviously that didn't happen. So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Now we are on to the game. Where did you go? There you are. Ohio State faced off against the Ohio Bobcats in the shoe under the lights this past Saturday. This game was on a very lackluster Peacock broadcast. That was hard to get through.
Rough, dude. Was it Colt McCoy you said?
No, Sims.
Yeah, Chris Sims.
Chris Sims, yeah. Chris Sims was on the broadcast. It was rough. A lot of things to take away from this game. A lot more things to take away from this game than we originally thought or we originally wanted to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing was I mean everybody and their brothers probably talked about it. It's the first half red zone struggles for the Buckeyes.
Yeah.
That was definitely an eye-opener. Another eye-opener, Bo Jackson. Look at Bo. So, the Buckeyes the last 2 years, hey, we're going towards this running back by committee system, keeping guys fresh. And it's looked like Bo Jackson, after an impressive a lot of impressive runs in that garbage time versus Grambling State. He came in, played a lot of this game, looked very, very well. And of course, we both, the end state, the Buckeyes are going into a bye week this week, and they've got a lot to work on. And they might have a little bit more to work on than we thought come last Friday night, Saturday afternoon before this game kicked off. Hot takes, big takeaways as it was. Big takeaways first and foremost, Josh.
Okay, so first things first, what is your thoughts on the bye week being this early?
The fact that we have 2.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is nowadays, we would always have 1 bye week in the college football season. Now that we have 2, it's I think it was obviously, planned, meticulous. Hey, you got that big game with Texas, get that bye week in, get through your guys, get you that breather before Big Ten play. Obviously, you get that breather before you have to get on that airplane and come all the way to the West Coast. I think it's a good thing. And I think that, honestly, there's some issues on the offense with, I'm not going to say so much as play calling. I'm thinking of it as a young quarterback that's having a little trouble, a little inconsistencies in the head when it comes to looking off of a first read and looking for a secondary one. And I think that was arguably my biggest concern when it came to these red zone struggles there in the first half of that ball game.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It's funny you say that you're basically saying you like the bye week this early. I don't. I kind of think Ohio State kind of got screwed here.
Okay.
I would have rather had that bye week closer to the middle of the season. You know what I mean? I mean, ideally right before you get 2 away games in Illinois, Wisconsin. I do feel like Ohio State got screwed a little bit here. But you do make some good points. They do travel all the way to the West Coast, so maybe I'm underselling that. Maybe I'm not understanding the magnitude of how that game's going to be. I know a lot of people like Washington too, so Washington's looked okay. So maybe that's going to be a tougher game than I think. But yeah, basically, this game, it was more like, you asked me when Rutgers played Ohio a couple weeks ago, you said, is Rutgers bad or is Ohio good? And I said, I think Ohio's good. And I think that's what we saw again. And we saw last week. Ohio is good. Ohio's probably going to win the MAC. Ohio State is very thankful Parker Navarro got hurt, or else this game might have been a little bit even closer. Ohio's the thing too that's unique about Ohio is their offensive line is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very tough offensive line. Like, I'm not going to sit here and act like it was better than Texas's offensive line, but they got a push that I was not prepared for.
Yeah.
And I should have been, because they pushed West Virginia all over the goddamn field. And I guess that's where my biggest concern is we bitched about the defensive line a couple times already this year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what's going to happen when they play an offensive line like Illinois.
Yeah.
Where Illinois, we know that they have some fucking dogs.
Yeah.
The defensive line hasn't really shown to have any dogs yet. I think Bo Atkinson shows flashes. I think Edric Houston shows flashes, but we're not seeing dominance like we were during the playoff run last year. So that's concerning. On the offensive side of the ball, Julian's saying he's showing issues, but I'm not concerned. These are nothing is wrong with him that's not wrong with every new quarterback, right?
Agreed. Yeah.
I honestly, I'm kind of looking at when I was watching the game a little bit, I was kind of surprised by how it's going to sound stupid because Ohio State receivers were obviously getting open, right? I mean, Jeremiah Smith had a great game. Cornell Tate had a good game. Max Clare had a great game. There were plays that receivers were getting open, but it was against Ohio.
Right.
So you would have thought, I guess my expectation was that they were going to, every play, it was going to look closer to Grambling than Texas. And in my opinion, it wasn't. Their defensive backfield, so if Ohio State's played 3 teams, Texas, Grambling, and Ohio, right? Here's Texas, here's Grambling. And Ohio's defensive backfield was closer to here rather than over here. That shocked me, right? But is that Ohio's defensive backfield? Or are we maybe, is this receiver unit overrated, other than Jeremiah Smith?
Well, Nate jumps in and says, as good as a passer as Julius saying is, I feel like our offense has a higher ceiling with Lincoln Keyholds do with threadability. It was nice, Nate. It was nice to see Lincoln Keyholds get in there. It's nice to see that package that they had. They brought him in immediately. I thought, oh shit, something's wrong with Saiyan. Nope, saw him designed run, looked good. I'll be honest with you, man. You talked about, is this wide receiver group as good as they are? I think they are the top two receivers in the country. I think you agree. As a tandem, those two are. You haven't seen a lot of Brandon Ennis as the third wide receiver, because honestly, Julian Sands not making that, doesn't have to, or just hasn't made that third look yet. And watching that game on Saturday, it seems like, and you and I have had conversations with ex-players, current players, all outside of this podcast, and the play calling isn't, we have confidence in these plays. We are sending plays to the huddle with open receivers already in mind.
Yeah.
Designated, like this play right here. I want you, there's the beautiful third down catch by Max Clare. You watched that whole play. You had Julian Say, or as it was, you had Jeremiah Smith spread out to the left. You brought in Carnell Tate on a motion to pick up that block, that release from Max Clare, just to get him to go wide across the middle of the field, catch that ball in the first down. It's definitely plays that, hey, Julian saying, this is what the play is. This guy's going to be open. And when that guy is not open, then Julian Sand had to improvise and use his brain and his athleticism. And it wasn't always about 50 for 50. That whole first quarter, going into that first drive in the second, it wasn't there, and he had to think. Is it anything that a quarterback making his third start, you bat an eye at? No, he's a quarterback making his third start. But it did seem like the plays that we'll be calling were for players and not for what we see the defenses got lined up and what mismatch here or there we've got. And of course, every ex machina for Ohio State is, where's Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah. Well, and I guess that's what I mean. Well, first of all, Nate, I think Lincoln Keyholds is great. I think people are going to be really surprised by how talented Keyholds is. I said the same thing about Devin Brown, which I stand by. That quarterback at Cal is just insane, by the way. But yeah, Keyholds is obviously more athletic. He's bigger, right? That's why he's the run package guy. I don't know if you're saying a higher ceiling. I don't know if that's true. I think that Julian does give you a higher ceiling because he has such a quicker release. And the beauty of the Ohio State offense, and it's been like this since Ryan Day's been here, is that, we're talking about Julian Sand isn't moving off his first read. Well, no Ohio State quarterbacks, that's usually not their specialty, right? Mm-hmm. Justin Fields, the reason why he struggled in the NFL is because he didn't have to make his first read. His second read was run the ball, right? Yeah. CJ Stroud, right? There was the issue with him. People were like, well, I don't know if he knows how to read a defense. He throws it to, Kyle McCord. That motherfucker looked at Marvin Harrison every goddamn play, right? I think Will Howard was more nuanced than that, but Chip Kelly was running the offense. Now we're going back to Brian Hartline, who's probably going to run more towards the Ryan Day kind of offense than Chip Kelly. You also think too, you're playing Ohio, right? So I don't know if I'm really that mad at Julian Sand for just assuming that these receivers are going to be open every goddamn play. You know what I mean? Like, why is the first read not there? So I guess, it depends on what you're looking at. We don't know. This is not time to panic. It's not, no, like you said, these receivers are great. It just, I don't know how great they are. Julian Sand is going to be great. I don't know how great he is right now. We're not going to know that just off of one shitty game against Ohio. And Ohio is good. This is going to be one of those games where, Ohio State played Ohio. Ohio is good. You remember a couple years ago when Ohio State played Western Kentucky and everybody made fun of it? Western Kentucky ripped off like 10 wins in a row. And then their quarterback went on to have a very successful NFL career. Like two of their wide receivers, Malachi Corley was like a second-round draft pick. That's the kind of Ohio team we're dealing with. And they're very strong on the offensive line. Parker Navarro is a dark horse Heisman guy. And they apparently they got a good defensive backfield. So Ohio might run the fucking show in the MAC. So again, all of this is just over-analyzing because these are also issues that we didn't see at Grambling at all, right? Right. It was always open. You know, I mean, think about that. You play 60 minutes where the first read is always open and busts at 90 yards. It's hard. It would be hard to go back. You're playing Ohio. Your assumption is that you should have the same results, and they just didn't. So you know, we'll definitely get a better idea against Washington.
Nate jumps back in. He's like a fish out of water because he improvised with his legs. I understand he's young, but he's not ideal. Yeah, we're definitely, as of the last decade, Nate, accustomed to Ohio State quarterbacks that, can improvise with their legs. And that's kind of just not what Julian Sayin is at the moment. All preseason reports says Lincoln had a much better red zone, our biggest weakness at the point. Well, I mean, this is a good team to get it out of the way with, get some of these struggles out. If we're going to stick with saying we need to start throwing a lot more deep balls, make the safeties play further back, like when Cardell led us to the champion. Okay, you're talking about Cardell Jones. No, appreciate the comments, Nate.
Julian's specialty is not the deep ball, but I don't know if Lincoln's is either. Lincoln is more athletic, so but this is college football, so it wouldn't be the craziest thing when you get in the red zone to bring Lincoln in. As a matter of fact, I would welcome that.
Right.
I think that would be great, right? Because Lincoln's good enough to where he can throw the ball as well, right? He doesn't just have to be a running, scrambling guy. But if you think that Julian is going to take the top off of defense, you're wrong. That's not his game, right? That's more like a Bryce. That's why Bryce Underwood was rated so high. Julian Sand was rated so high because he's got that quick release. He's got that. He's great at seeing the defense, and he knows where to go with the ball. It's not necessarily. Yeah, he doesn't have a weak arm. I want to be very clear. He doesn't have a weak arm. It's probably stronger than Will Howard's, if we're being honest.
It is already.
Yeah, maybe I don't know, but it's not C.J. Stroud, right? I guess that's not. That's the epitome of a deep ball sniper.
No, no, you're right. Like I said, we've talked to former and current players off the podcast here, and they have talked about potential concerns with a Brian Hartline led offense. Some things that may be a little bit confusing at times. We saw a little bit of a variety, though. We did. We saw 5 wide. We saw 3 tight ends. We saw the I formation. We saw, even though I think it was maybe a little bit of, Chris Sims was calling for, maybe it was a little bit of Heisman padding for Jeremiah Smith at the end around. Maybe not. But no, I see it. But like I said, it's what does this team revert to? What does this offense look like when it is a game, when it is a game on the road, which I'm going to assume in a couple weeks from now, there's going to be a game on our hands when we go down to Champaign, Illinois, and go against Luke Altmaier. You got an offense on the other side that maybe, can put some points on the board and make it a game, make it interesting. I'm interested to see what the offense looks like that, because of course, I'm obviously when everything's not clicking for Ohio State, I'm like, what the hell is going on? You tell me you're as cool as a cucumber and you're not worrying about nothing. But it wasn't anything to worry about. Ohio State came up victorious. They won by 4 touchdowns. Let's be real. But
it's not something like I'm not panicking, but this game was more upsetting than a game than the Texas game, right? Like the Texas game this was the first game this year where I was like, oh shit, but again, it was one of those things where if Ohio is as good as I think Ohio is, it's not going to be a big deal. But if Ohio's not good, we saw a lot of issues today, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like the Texas game, you're like 2 heavyweight boxers where you're feeling each other out and right, like, oh, we only scored 14 points. The offense sucked that day. No, that's not entirely true. They were measured and they controlled the ball and nothing stupid happened. The game against Ohio was clunky, right? And Ohio.
Well, I mean, there's also with the Bobcats, there's also this. I mean, you've heard it a million times. You and I've played sports forever. Yeah. It's hey, there's a such a thing called playing down to your competition.
Yeah.
Okay. Ohio State played up again. They kind of, put the governor on Julian, saying like, hey, we're going to call this offense. We're going to make it to where, hey, don't screw it up. Just do what you're told. Do the right thing. We're not going to put you out there to look like a fool, but we're going to do just enough. Do the right thing. Make the right read. We're good. They gave Julian saying again, especially in the red zone, there were a couple. A design one on a third down was a design running back in the flat that was wide open. Julian didn't see it. There's another
Yep.
one with on the screen watch and left hand side. Brennan Ennis was wide open on a double move in the corner of the end zone, was missed. Things like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
I know you saw it, but let's close the door on how great Ohio is, because Ohio is going to be good. Ohio is going to win the MAC, I believe. Parker Navarro is a dog. He was a dog last year. He absolutely balled out in their bowl game too, and really kind of put the rest of college football on watch and said, hey, I've got something special here. But let's be real. It was that OU defense. They were playing unafraid. Yeah, guess what? They're going to have to live with getting burned over top and a highlight reel catch here or there with Jeremiah Smith. But let's be real, they weren't afraid. They were coming up, stepping in the hole, and they were laying the wood to some Ohio State running backs as well.
Yeah, I was impressed with the defense. Like I said, I was more impressed with the defensive backs than anything. Ohio usually has some pretty tough, tiny little linebackers that attack the hole, but I guess I was more impressed with the defensive backs than anything. They felt like they were hanging. You didn't see guys wide open like you did against Scrambling.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. Nate comes back with Illinois is going to be like Michigan the past several years. Is definitely going to be interesting. Yeah, I mean, Josh and I have had this game circled all season long. We knew that the Buckeyes had to travel to Champaign, Illinois. You brought up that
you need to be scared of Illinois.
No, absolutely.
Michigan is the big bugaboo because it's Michigan. Illinois, This is an Illinois team that, in my opinion, if you're asking me to power rate the Big Ten teams, number one.
Okay, I like that. You brought him up as well, Bo Atkinson. It's we want to see that consistency. We want to see that stud, that superstar on the defensive line. I think Bo Atkinson finally came out a little bit there and reminded everybody that he was a transfer on this team. We saw a little bit of Logan George as well. Yeah. And we want to see these studs. We want to see these guys come out and but they are rotating these defensive linemen every other play. They are keeping them fresh, no question about it.
Yeah.
Arvell Reese had a phenomenal game, as expected. I thought Arvell Reese played very, very, very well. Caleb Downs is Caleb Downs. Nothing else needs to be said about that. Jaden Fielden looked good, 3 for 3. And guess what? We needed him. And it wasn't. Yeah. There wasn't. I think this is the first time where Ohio State was, scoreless or as a 1-score game, and he's going to the field goal, and he's booting a field goal, and he's not nervous, because it's Ohio. But also that's the same time he's going out there nailing these kicks, and he's building that confidence up. I mean, he's got to be on cloud 9 after the performance in the national championship. He's come through. He hasn't missed a field goal yet, so that's signs of good things. But also, I think I alluded to it very quickly, but Bo Jackson. So if you and I were to assume that Ohio State wants 2 running backs, CJ Donaldson, this is his last year. Bo Jackson is a freshman. James Peoples, when he gets the ball, it's not bad. It's not electric. But you can only, I can only run through a hole as big enough as the offensive line, supplies for me. What's your thoughts on the running back room? What's the current depth chart in your head here when it comes to these running backs?
I mean, Bo Jackson looked great, but I'm not going to sit here and act like Bo Jackson didn't look the best out of all the running backs. Is the depth chart adjusted based off of one game? I don't think so. I think James Peoples is still your dog. I think CJ Donaldson is going to have I think that James Peoples is probably going to be the number 1, but CJ Donaldson at the end of the year is going to have the more like, oh man, thank God he was there, because he's just powerful. He always breaks the first tackle. He gets what he needs. James Peoples sometimes doesn't, right? You're looking for pop plays and he didn't get. That's what makes the Bo Jackson thing so interesting, is that you are like, man, he is getting those pop plays.
Yes.
Again, some of that might be just luck of the draw, right?
I've got one for you.
He was talented.
I've got one for you. So you say we don't go ahead and readjust the depth chart based on one game. Bo Jackson had a good second half of that Grambling State game, and you saw him in there. You saw him in there with the ones. You saw him in there taking starting running back snaps. I take this as that that Madden create a player moment where the coach calls you in his office and it's like, we're going to give you a couple of big carries this week. Let's see how you do. And
Yeah.
I think that's what this was.
Yeah.
And I think he did well. I think that
He did great.
And let's be real, Brian Hartline wanted to see him succeed because there was a time where he was in there, 3 tight ends, strong side to the left, put all the hog mollies there and ran just a straight stretch play, and he could have almost broke it another 60 yards, but he got ankle tackled or the turf came up and grabbed him. But that's kind of how I test to it. Like I said, CJ Donaldson is there. He is your consistency. He's that guy like play like you've been there. And I think that's what Ohio State's going to lean on. Hey, we need you to do this, that.
Yeah.
Because there's gonna come a point this season, Bo Jackson's going to put one on the turf, and everybody's going to motherfuck him up and down the field. And then you're going to bring, here comes James People and CJ Donaldson for that consistency. He's going to have to work himself out of the doghouse. That's just young, growing pains, just like we said with Deshaun Foster, and just like we're saying now with Julian Sayans. They're just growing pains, and you guys had to endure some of these growing pains, but at the same time, you still won by 4 fucking touchdowns.
I think it's pretty clear that Bo Jackson is special. I think that we're going to be talking about him next year. I think he's probably going to be a freshman All-American. I think by the time he's done here at Ohio State, we're going to be talking about him. I don't want to act like he's going to be it's pretty crazy to be like, I think he's going to be one of the best ever, but I think we're going to be talking about him very similar to how we talk about Travion. Like he's going to be a dude. I think he's a dude. I think he's proven that he's going to be a dude, maybe even better than those guys, because Travion was sidelined by injuries for a large part of his career. The depth chart going into next year, that's going to be a much more interesting conversation than this year. Because I do think that CJ Donaldson is talented. I don't think that you push it and he does something that the other guys just don't.
No, he doesn't come from West Virginia, make this move, not to get half the carries on this team.
And he's just, he's the Thunder.
Bo Jackson, he's definitely got the size. And I think that's what kind of stood out to me is immediately looking at him and then looking at the program like, okay, this is actually kind of a big kid, but his height kind of levels that out a bit. But no, I've got no issues with the bye week. Obviously we've got some things we need to clean up, and I think it's simply just decision making. So
yes. Yeah, no, they have more than enough time. There's not a large. People have to step up, but it's not like we're like, oh man, there's nothing here, right? Or like we're not looking at this roster being like, hey, there was a brief point in the offseason where we looked at the defensive line and we said this defensive line is going to suck. That's not going to be the case. The defensive line may not be great, but I think it's pretty clear it's going to be at least okay. The question is, are we going to have 2 guys step up and be All-American level contributors? And we might.
I think that, we looked at last year, we said, we've got these 2 dudes. The other 2 guys, we assume Tyleik Williams is going to be that dog. And that was our baseline, we know these guys are good. Great. Yeah. We know these guys on the defensive line currently, both tiers of them. We know there's a lot of potential, and we know there's potential for them to be just as good as last year's defensive linemen.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay. I love it. We got one more in here. Nate's back. A tad concerned with the way we seem out sloppy after the bye week, even though I think the bye week is positive to prepare. Yeah, that plane ride is no fucking joke, Nate.
Yeah, I don't know how Ryan Day prepares on the bye week. Every coach handles bye weeks differently. Some use it to prepare for the upcoming opponent. I don't think Ryan Day does that. I think he's more like to clean stuff up, which I think is going to be fine. This is a very young roster. It's a very young team. So cleaning stuff up and sacrificing preparation for Washington, I think is probably beneficial. Especially in the expanded playoffs. I mean, theoretically, they could lose this game, which I don't think they're going to. I think that there is a big gap between – Washington looks pretty good. They do look pretty good. I'm not going to sit here and act like they don't. But there's still a big talent gap, right?
Well, we've got 2 weeks till it, but do we have a kickoff time for this game, my friend?
Yes. Here, let me pull it up.
Am I getting lucky this week, or is it just you guys?
3:30.
3:30 East Coast.
My time. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's a noon 30 game for me. How about that?
There you go.
last call on the Buckeyes and the Bobcats, my friend. What do you got? Anything that stood out to you that you want to get in and make it known?
No, it's just it's very important to monitor Ohio moving forward. And that's going to tell us a lot about, what's going on with this team. You just got to, with such a small sample size, just keep your eyes on what other teams are doing. Because honestly, it looks like Texas might blow. It looks like Texas might be 8 wins.
It looks like Texas might blow.
Arch Manning might blow.
It looks like Arch Manning. It looks like Arch Manning might kind of suck. At the same time, we're talking about an even bigger potential or scenario than last year, my friend. Because last year, if you recall, we, were kind of biting our fingernails at the first half of that Ohio State Marshall game. And then Marshall came out and absolutely had a phenomenal season.
Was great. Was great.
Right.
So great they fired their coach like a bunch of idiots. Now he's dominating at Southern Miss with all those transfers.
Exactly. Nate, one more. The quarterback is more accurate than Braxton Miller. He literally did a spin move last week.
Who are you talking about, Nate? Talking about Ohio? Parker tomorrow?
He's that, or he's talking about Arch. If there was an Arch spin move, and ESPN didn't have it,
bro. There you go. Arch looks like shit, dude. I'm not talking shit about Arch. I want to be very clear.
Washington quarterback. Oh, that Washington quarterback is a stud. I do like that.
Yeah, but he don't. He don't throw the ball like everybody should. Like Julian throws the ball. So I'm not.
Well, I think that's his. He's a little bit more accurate than Braxton Miller. I think that was Nate's correlation there. Before we close the book on week 3, I'm going to give you one thing to say about Big Ten play for week 4. What stood out to you?
I don't know. They're not. Let's roll through here. Indiana had a great week. Obviously, UCLA. We talked about that. We talked.
Yeah.
That was the biggest takeaway. Wisconsin. We can talk about that a little bit. They blow. Luke Fickell. I don't know what Luke Fickell can do to keep his job. That's a great team. That's a great program. I made money off that bet. I think Alabama's good, but obviously we know that. They got smushed, and everybody kind of knew they were going to get smushed. So I think that's something interesting to watch because Wisconsin blows. Iowa, I think Iowa. Yeah, well, that'll be, they played Massachusetts, so I'll shut up about that. But Wisconsin's another team to watch because they've just fallen off. Off.
No, I don't think anybody was willing to take Wisconsin last week.
No, but that's an issue.
Fickell's lucky he signed a new contract in the offseason. I don't know how lucky he is, Nate, because that's something still might come to fruition on that. But
he was a bad hire too. I stand by that. I was on a lot of podcasts, and I was in the minority that year. I remember people messaging me, making fun of me. That's a bad fucking hire. Go back and listen to me talk about that when he was hired. I was one of the only people to fucking say it. I was on Colby's show. I said it too. Cincinnati, when they were in the AAC, had a built-in benefit because they were in a recruiting hotbed compared to fucking places like Tulane, right? Yeah. Like Cincinnati was it's a better program. It's a bigger program. It just was it would be like, I don't know, man. It's like, think of some of these shitty schools. Memphis is probably like that now. Memphis is probably an easy because they have FedEx money. It's in the city. It's a bigger state. It's a bigger atmosphere compared to a place like fucking Charlotte. You know what I mean? Like there's just certain places that are easier to win at, and that's one of them. And he didn't dominate at Cincinnati. He just didn't.
I see that, but I'm so glad to see that my main man Doug is back.
Good,
Doug, how are you? Wisconsin is an embarrassment to the Big Ten. It's not looking pretty, my friend.
They're not. They're bad. They are a bad program, and it's a shame. And he fucked them up. He made them worse.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna talk about Wisconsin. We're gonna talk about their Week 4 matchup. How do you just keep disappearing? What the hell is wrong with you? We're gonna talk about their Week 4 matchup here in a minute. You briefly talked about Iowa. Iowa this week, 1.5 point favorite over Rutgers. Iowa traveling and playing at Rutgers, 1.5 points, my friend.
Yeah, so Iowa's coming off a big-ass victory over UMass. I was kind of going to briefly talk about that. UMass blows. You and I talked about that. UMass fucking blows.
Last week, I think, yeah.
Yeah, UMass, they lost to Bryant, who's a FCS school, who lost their quarterback from the year prior.
Yeah.
The transfer portal. Like, they're not good, and they lost to them. I think I put money on Iowa. Did I put money on Iowa? Did I brag about that? I don't remember.
I wouldn't.
I remember thinking about that because Iowa beat the fucking shit out of them. It was a 35-point spread. Everybody was making fun of them. And they looked good. Iowa looked really good. They moved the ball. They were effective. Massachusetts blows, but still, Iowa looked good all year. Iowa looked good all year. They lost to Iowa State by 3 points. Iowa State's tough. Iowa State's good.
They're a good football team.
Rutgers is good, too. They struggled with Ohio, and they've beaten the shit out of everybody since. They beat the shit out of Mike Vick's Norfolk State team like 60-10. This is gonna be a good game. I'm gonna take Rutgers. It's at Rutgers. Shiano's a good coach. You're giving me points. I know it's only 1.5, but I'm rolling with Rutgers. Nate says Wisconsin just needs to go get Brett Bielema, bring him home. Brett, the problem with what Wisconsin, when Brett Bielema was there, Barry Alvarez was the athletic director, and Barry Alvarez had his fingers all over everything that was going on in the football program. Yeah. Would Brett Bielema come back? I don't think so. I don't think he was happy at Wisconsin. I don't think they want him either. I think that they believe that Wisconsin is good enough to be in the Ohio State tier. I know I accidentally pressed the unmute button. The Ohio State tier, and they want someone that can take them there. So they're gonna try to get a hot shot coach. Who that is, I don't know, but I don't think it's gonna be Bielema. Be.
You can only hit that unmute button if Emeka Buka scores again.
Right. Well, I got the fan on, so I'm using the remote as like something to not blow my little pages.
No, I take Rutgers in this one too. They got everything that they wanted from Ohio week 1, but mind you, it's week 1. Okay, these lower to mid-level, mid-tier Big Ten teams still figuring it out.
That was good.
But, yeah, they are good, and like I said, you're looking at Ohio. They lost by a field goal to Rutgers. They beat West Virginia. You could argue, hey, they got that home field advantage, and all of Athens, Ohio was really rocking for that game. At the same time, you had West Virginia had a running back. Their starting back went out too, and then they just thrived on it. But give me Rutgers on this one. Give me the home team. I think they've got something cooking. We're going to see the Greek water pistol. This is a noon kickoff on Saturday. Yeah.
Looks like it, yeah.
Okay.
No. This game was on Friday, right?
Ooh, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's on Friday, 8:00. So that'll be fucking fun.
Okay. Fun.
Yeah.
Even better.
And Nate says that was back when Brett Bielema had hopes and dreams. Now he knows that's his best spot. No, I think Wisconsin wants someone better than Bielema. Wisconsin feels like they need to be back in the Barry Alvarez, Ron Dane championship goals. So they're going to try to find somebody. You're going to try to find a young hotshot. I think is what they're going to want to do. But we'll see.
Yeah, we got Maryland traveling to Wisconsin to Camp Randall Stadium. Wisconsin favored by a touchdown and an extra point, my friend. We riding with the Wisconsin bounce back on this one?
Dude, you know what's funny?
Yeah.
This spread has already changed up to 9.5. We gave these spreads out on Sunday. Obviously, it's Monday night. A lot happens when those spreads get released. Like the Rutgers game has changed to 2.5 from 1.5 to 2.5. That's not a huge difference. Going from 7 to 9.5 though, that's huge.
Yeah.
Because 7's a key number, right? So you're moving off of a key number past another key number. Well, the 9 might not be the keyest of numbers, but it's very interesting. It's a very big jump. But just for the sake of argument, we'll stick with the 7. I'm going to go with Wisconsin here. That's another reason why we'll stick with the 7 because that favors here. I don't know if I'm going to put money on these games yet. I know I'm going to put money on Rutgers. I know I'm putting money on Rutgers. Write that down. But Wisconsin, I don't know. But Maryland blows. We talked about. Okay, Maryland has looked very, very impressive. They looked really good against Towson last week. Towson blows. Maryland looks good against shitty opponents every year. Wisconsin should bounce back, though. They should bounce back. They're bigger, they're tougher, they're stronger. I'm going to ride with Wisconsin.
Right with Wisconsin agents. When they fired Frank Solich, and nobody has done as good as him since.
So every school, that's a great point, Nate. You're talking about Nebraska.
Yeah.
Every school goes through this period where you can point to everybody. Ohio State did it with Earl Bruce, right? Where they feel like, okay, we got to reach this next level. Sometimes they accomplish that. Sometimes they don't. Minnesota did it with Glenn Mason. If you go back and watch the early 2000s when Minnesota had Marion Barber, Lawrence Maroney, Eric Decker, those were all teams that were competing with Ohio State when they were winning 8-9 games, and then they fired Glenn Mason because they thought Minnesota was a big dog, and they end up failing. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I can't think of a time when it did because that's just how my brain works. But you probably can. So
yeah, give me Wisconsin on the bounce back as well. I think this is a game they win. I could see a victory by 7. I would be on the fence about a victory plus 10, but again, it is Camp Randall, or 9 or more as it was. Following that, we've got one of the 2 big West Coast rivalries is Oregon State comes into Autzen to take on Dante Moore and the Oregon Ducks. Oregon Ducks favored by 35. I would be surprised if that hadn't gone up as well, my friend.
Yeah, it went up to 35.5, which doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is. It is.
Yep.
It's all 35 is definitely a key number. It's one of the big key numbers. I'm going with Oregon here. Oregon looked like shit last week, but it was, and I don't think they looked like shit just because it was wet and sloppy. Maybe they did that. Maybe Northwestern's better than I think. I don't know. Because Northwestern did look good the week before. But Oregon State blows. They got the brakes beat off them by Texas Tech. I think Oregon is at least as good as Texas Tech, if not better. So I would take Oregon here. I would lean Oregon here.
Yeah. I'm leaning, jumping, diving towards Oregon here. Let's be real. Michigan traveling to Nebraska. Now, what time's kickoff for this game, my friend?
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, this is when I am 3:30 East Coast. Okay. Hey, Michigan's a 1.5 point favorite as of yesterday. This is probably the game I want to watch the most this week. Well, this is probably the second most wanting to watch game, most hype game of the week this week for me. I'm interested to see if Nebraska can elevate and win these tough games. And, I think the key for Nebraska is, can they match up when Bryce Underwood decides to take off and scramble? Can Dylan Raiola show maturity with these new weapons that he has on the outside? I am very intrigued in this matchup, my friend.
I think you're right. I like it a lot. Doug, who was fired for giving up a 35-point lead? Was that Solich? You have to refresh our memory. It might be a little before our time. Yeah, I'm going to take. So who did you take on this game? You took Michigan.
I'm going to call the upset. I'm going to call the upset for our boy Matt Rule, being the home team. This is yet again another game called by Biff Poggi. Am I correct?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to go with Nebraska. I want to see if Matt Rule can get over the hump here. Before you do, Nate, Tampa beats the Buccaneers by Texans by a point. Nice game. I saw Ibuka had a nice little jailbreak screen for a touchdown. I didn't see anything else after that, Nate. Thank you for the update.
I had goddamn money on the Texans.
Dummy.
How did Amari and Hampton play? Someone fill me in on the rushing yards there. I had money on his over.
How many times was CJ Stroud on his back? Go ahead.
I'm going to take Michigan here. Michigan looked good last week in Central Michigan. I think that they let Bryce Underwood rip it a little bit. He's gained some confidence. Yeah. I like Nebraska. I like Nebraska. This is not a ditch against Nebraska, but I do think that Michigan is it's tougher. I think Nebraska is still working out the kinks. I think by the end of the year, Nebraska is going to be a hard team to deal with. I don't think they're there yet. I think Michigan, I don't know if I'm up on money on this, but I do lean Michigan here.
I wholeheartedly agree with you there as well. Glenn Mason. I think that Michigan, had the time to lick their wounds. They figured it out. They had a good game last week. They let Bryce Underwood fucking take off and do his own thing. At the same time, this is a season propelling victory for Matt Rule in this program if they can pull it off and win. This could elevate a season without question.
I agree. Yeah, it definitely puts them. It would put them, up in. I think it would definitely prove that they're in the upper echelon of the Big Ten for sure.
Without question. Purdue travels to Notre Dame. Notre Dame being a 27.5-point favorite. They've got those two running backs at Notre Dame. They're studs. The quarterback play did not look good this last Saturday night after they got upset by Texas A&M. Marcus Freeman starts another season 0-2, but being 27.5-point favorites, I assume they bounce back, and I would assume you assume so too, my friend.
Yeah, I have a little trepidation on this because Purdue has looked pretty good.
Yeah, they've looked better. I wouldn't say they look good. They have looked leaps and bounds better than the last time we saw them last season. Yes,
Barry Odom he's got it cooking. So I'm a little trapped because they look good and Notre Dame has not looked good. Right, just to put it right. The quarterback CJ Carr looks lost. I think there's some talent there. There's some highlights there. There's clearly he has potential, but he looks horrible. Let's be real. Right now, he looks like Dylan Raiola last year, which is fair. That's how he should look. And Purdue doesn't. Purdue looks like they're on track. I'm going to take Notre Dame, but this number's actually gone down to 26.5, so that shows that people are maybe a little bit liking what they see with Purdue a little bit more than we thought.
No, wholeheartedly. Well, that and the disdain that Notre Dame left in a lot of people's mouths
yes.
Saturday night as well. My most anticipated game for the week, this week 4 coming up.
Idiot. Thank you, Nate.
Illinois traveling to Indiana. Indiana being a 4.5-point favorite. Nate jumped in a Mario Hampton game just starting now. Yeah,
I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm an idiot.
All right. Yeah, you're an idiot. Who you like in this one? We talked earlier. I assume that Illinois, or as it was, Indiana is this big favorite because of this home field advantage. Do you have a kickoff time for this one?
Yeah, let me look. It's 7:30. It is.
That's what I like to see. That is the time this game should kick off because this is the premier game in the Big Ten this week.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with Illinois. You're giving me points, and Illinois is the better team. Yes. Indiana's looked good. I'm not going to shut on Indiana because we really don't know what Indiana is yet. No. I think did they have a bye week last week or did they beat?
No, they dominated like 70.
Oh, that's right. They played Indiana State on Friday night. I watched that game. And they did not fucking slow up, dude.
No.
Signetti looked pissed.
We called that the week prior. We called it the week prior that they had a lackluster week 1, and if Signetti was going to pour it on, it was going to be this week, and it was nasty.
The second stringer, right? It's Mendoza's little brother. He threw for like 4 touchdowns too. Indiana looks good, but Illinois looks great, man. Illinois looks great. They're well balanced. They got a tough defense, bro. You're giving me 4.5 points, and I think I get the better team. Give me to Illinois. I might actually put money on this motherfucker, bro.
Doug jumps in as Nebraska's attempt to play defense the way Oklahoma did. I mean, they set a blueprint. I don't know if they can, but we'd like to see it.
I don't know if they have the horses, man.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's got some horses. Plus, Venables, you do have to give him credit. He's a good defensive coach. The defense has never been the problem at Oklahoma since he's been there. Kinda. I probably should.
The
offense.
Yeah, back to the task at hand. I'm going with Illinois as well on this one. I think they are just a tougher football team. I think this is there's a reason that Illinois is the number 9 team in the AP poll currently. Signetti, it'll be fun to see what Signetti does when he gets punched in the mouth here. And we've seen him he played the Buckeyes real tight for a first half and last season, and then he kind of just started getting he bled out by 1,000 different paper cuts. It wasn't a knockout blow, it was just one thing slowly after another.
They got more horses this year. You have to admit that Indiana has more horses this year. They lose the big horse. I think Nathan Rourke was a thoroughbred, but he was also hurt all last year. But as far as their defense, I mean, we were at that game. We talked about how small they were. So Indiana is a different built team than years past. But I do agree with you that Illinois, it takes multiple years to get as tough as what Bielema's created there in Illinois.
No, absolutely. And Doug Jimson is going to find out a lot about both of these teams. Yeah, you're going to find out a lot about these teams. And we're both. Last year, you and I were both big proponents for Nathan Rourke, but I think Mendoza can sling the bitch a lot better than Nathan Rourke could.
I'll never.
I know you won't, but I had to say it. We're both riding Illinois in this one.
I watched every fucking snap that Indiana State game, dude. That guy, my motherfucker, that Amari Cooper, that dude, that wide receiver. I think he was a transfer from Tennessee State.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm definitely going Illinois on this one. The next, the other big rivalry here in the state of Washington, where I currently reside, Washington traveling to Washington State for the Apple Cup. That is Washington being currently a 20.5-point favorite. I will tell you that they were a 20-point favorite last season when they walked into the Apple Cup and got upset in overtime. That was a fun one to watch, but I'm going to take Washington on this one.
Yeah, so Washington is 0-2 in the Apple Cup since joining the Big Ten, right?
They certainly are.
Yeah, the last two spreads have not changed. Nathan asked, does size matter? Well, as someone who's 5'6" and has a tiny penis, I'm going to say no.
As you should.
I'm going to go with Washington, man. Washington State, did they just get the fucking shit kicked out of them by somebody?
I'm sure they did. They do not have the coaching regime as last year they did.
Well, no, because that guy fucking wasn't a good coach either. No, they beat the shit out of San Diego State. So, and then but they got the shit kicked out of them by North Texas. So, no, they got the shit kicked out of them by North Texas, who is not super great.
North Texas still has the same coach as last year.
Yeah, but who's Washington State's new coach? It's not Dicker. Jake Dickert left for Wake Forest.
Yes,
they replaced him with someone else, and I can't remember who it was. And he brought in half the fucking team from like South Dakota or some shit.
Yeah,
wherever he came from. Whatever, man. I'm going with Washington.
Yeah, I'm going with Washington as well, without question. Last one on the Big Ten schedule: Michigan State, Aiden Childs. They get on the plane. They make the trip out to Southern California, and the USC Trojans are 15.5-point favorites. I assume that game is a 10 o'clock kickoff for you, yeah?
Yes. 11 o'clock, dude.
Oof. That's an 8 o'clocker for me, homie. USC, we sat here the last couple of weeks saying, hey, we're not quite sure what USC is because, they haven't played anybody worth a damn. This is USC, meaningful football, under the lights, Big Ten opponent. We constantly for the last 2 years watched USC get, pushed around by Big Ten competition. I don't think that's the case this year. I think USC puts it on. It's close for the first half, and then USC kind of just wears on them, and they can cover 15.5.
Dude, give me the money. So you're taking Michigan State?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I might actually bet on this game. You're giving me 15.5 points. I think Michigan State can win this game outright. They look tough. They beat the shit out of Youngstown State. And then the week before that, they beat a very tough Boston College team.
In overtime. It was a good game.
It was fairly tough, right? And then they barely beat a Buffalo team, or was it Western Michigan? It was Western Michigan, who we don't think is terrible. USC struggled against a Purdue team that we still think is probably going to be the bottom half of the Big Ten, and they beat up on some pussy teams. I think I might. I'm probably going to put money on this game, and I think I like Michigan State to actually win outright, dude. Believe it or not.
I like to hear it. That is the week 4 Big Ten football slate. Ohio State's got a bye week, but you know what? We'll come back. We're going to go ahead and next Monday, we're going to go ahead and preview that matchup with the Buckeyes in Washington. We're going to look ahead to week 5 in the Big Ten. Also, we're going to reach out on YouTube, X, Facebook, what have you. We're looking for a viewer question. We're looking for a viewer question of the week. We're going to pick one out this next week coming up, and we're going to give you guys your time in the spotlight. And because we don't have a game to recap, we have a game to just a preview. Nate jumps in. Starting September 27th, USC plays Illinois, Michigan, and Notre Dame. Hey, USC wanted it.
They might go 0-3 that stretch.
Yeah.
2 of those games are away.
Yeah.
They have to go all the way to Illinois, back home, play Michigan, and then all the way back to Notre Dame. Dude, they're going to lose 2 of those. They're going to lose at least 2 of those games.
Yeah, no, I can definitely see it.
I mean, they're definitely going to lose to Notre Dame.
And Oregon late in the season. No Buckeye football this weekend. Josh, are you doing anything off schedule, out of kilter, something different with no Buckeye game to scour
No,
at?
dude. Saturdays are for college football. I had a great week gambling last week. I told you that. I had a great week gambling in the NFL too. Don't know how it happened. I'm always terrible with the NFL, but I had a great weekend overall. So we're just gonna keep doing that. Sundays is we'll probably do something like I don't know, maybe go to the zoo with the kid or go to a little corn maze or something. You know me, I don't. Sometimes I don't even watch the Browns, dude. Like the NFL is just so out of sight, out of mind for me sometimes, man. I mean, I'm watching Monday Night Football, but if it ain't on, if we got something, if Jesse wants to go do something, I'm not stressed over the NFL. I'll get in a fist fight over college football. I'm watching the NFL.
I'm gonna find something because me, I get some of those. I get some of these premier college football games like around dinner time this week. Some of the games that I really want to watch. Sundays is always homework while I've got my 2 $500 fantasy football leagues constantly monitoring, and I'm watching all of them. Yeah, dude, I'm in a $500 one at work, and I'm in a $500 one with the family.
Well, Nate will tell you about the fantasy football league we're in, where we were roofied 2 years ago. I'm just going to say roofied, Nate. Maybe not roofie is the right word, but we did not know how high we were going to get. And I may have drafted someone who was retired in my keeper slot, and he may have drafted both Caleb Williams and Anthony Richardson in back-to-back rounds. So that was that 2 years ago? Oh, no, he drafted Anthony Richardson, and then it was like Daniel Jones or something. Dude, it was bad, dude. We were so stoned. It was bad, bro.
I'm in a work league where I've got Joe Burrow, so fucking Daniel Jones might be the Band-Aid this week. Danny Dimes might have to be my Band-Aid.
Oh, dude, Vanilla Vic, bro. I think I think I drafted him.
You did not just say Vanilla Vic. Okay.
Vanilla Vic, baby. I got his jersey. I got his Giants jersey. Dude, I love Daniel Jones, dude. It cracks me up, man.
Nate chimes in. Fantasy was too stressful for me. Watching my phone every second. I'm telling you, that's Sundays are terrible because also I'm doing homework.
I'm in 4 fucking leagues too. It's exhausting.
That's exhausting. I can't do more than 2.
I hate fantasy football too. The only reason I'm in it is to like see my buddies as an excuse to leave the house. And I got to go to 0 live drafts this year because the baby. 0. It's just like, dude, I don't even want to fucking be in these.
just tell the boy we're adding it to the list. And like I said, we're gonna add to the list. Viewer question of the week next week. We're gonna look ahead to Buckeyes Washington, week 5 of the Big Ten, and viewer question of the week. Fathom up something good. I'm gonna let Josh pick it, and then we're gonna go ahead and run with it. Yeah, you're welcome.
We gotta get something submitted, but yeah.
Just drop a comment in the video. Message one of us. You can find me at crunyon15 on X. Josh.
Yeah, man. Follow me at Josh Keatley 16 on X. You can you can DM me anywhere, Facebook, X, whatever.
And there you go. As always. But again, even more. As always, we'll see you guys next Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're back to our regularly scheduled programming. To the 111 viewers today, we greatly appreciate it. To Nate. Exactly. To Nate, to Doug, great to see you guys again. We will be back the same time, same place next Monday, and we're going to talk about the week that was college football and look ahead to week 5 in the Big Ten. But as always, go Bucks.
Go Bucks.